Hi guys, we have a special guest. I'm here in London at the Stratis office, and I'm here with Chris True, the founder and CEO.
Correct.
Of Stratis. And this is the first time that we're meeting in person. As you guys might, some longtime viewers of our channel, you might remember that we had interviewed Chris during or before the ICO.
Correct.
And we invested in Stratis. I certainly hope you guys did too. When on that interview, as we know that it's done phenomenally well, one of our biggest winners. Here, let me introduce Chris True. And how has it been in the last year since we last talked? And oh, by the way, it's good to meet you in person.
Yes,
finally.
definitely.
This is our first time we literally we just met like 10 minutes ago in person. So tell us some more about why don't we start with just a quick recap, like a history, this has now been a year.
Yeah.
And you had first come up, I think it's been almost a year since we last talked, right?
Correct, yeah.
So why don't you just explain, give a brief update as to what's happened at Stratis since we last talked. I'm sure there's a lot, but the main points.
Yeah.
And then where are we going to go from here?
Yeah, no problem. The last year has been very, very busy for everyone at Stratis. We've seen phenomenal growth, exponential growth right across the board. What actually happened was Stratis just had this phenomenal growth, and the organisations had to actually catch up behind. So we've been growing phenomenally as an organisation, sort of putting the structure, processes and framework in place that's going to allow us to service these enterprise customers that we're targeting moving forward.
Okay, so what has been the major, we all know that, we can all look at the price of the chart of Strats, they've exploded, and this has been the best performing ICO. The ICO price was 0.7 cents, not 1 cent, 0.7 cents, right? It's under a penny, and today, it ran as high as 11 bucks, and today we're at like 350, 450. We've all pulled back a little bit, but still phenomenal returns. If you guys had invested in the ICO, must have been one of your top performers. I don't know of anything else that was even maybe Neo or Anshears was somewhere around there, but other than that, so we all know that investors and ICO participants have done phenomenally well, but what has Stratis accomplished? What are the milestones that you can point to in the last year that you think contributed to the massive increase in price?
I think several factors played a part in that. I think the main one being the small amount of money that we raised during the ICO. I always say to people to look out for the ICOs that have raised a smaller amount of money because it has that room for growth. If you imagine an ICO that's raised, say, 10 million, that's 10 million worth of resistance on the way up. So where we only raised $600,000, there was far less resistance actually moving up. And I think that was one of the key reasons why we saw such quick growth. But I mean, it's a combination of things. People will only have to follow our GitHub to see that our development's very active. Our code is high quality. Everybody that looks at our code comments on the quality of the code. I mean, the majority of our developers come from enterprise development backgrounds, so we have that whole enterprise methodology in our actual development, and I think that played a big part in our success. And the fact that we're just active and available all the time, we try to make ourselves available for the community as much as possible, and all of that combined together sort of has played a big part in our success.
So what does Stratis do today? Like as of now, like what does the code base, what does it do? I know there's been a lot of talk of masternodes. There's been a lot of talk of the Breeze wallet and Tumblebit. Yeah. Those are, I mean, just as following you guys, that's where I see the keywords of where it's going back. So what does Stratis do today? Like if I go to the GitHub, what kind of software, if I download it, what can I do with Stratis today?
Yeah, so we have our full node, which is a complete rewrite of Bitcoin Core, the C++ code base. So we now have a complete rewrite from the ground up in C#. We're taking a modular approach in our full node, so people can download our full node and then just pull in the modules that we want. that they'd actually want. So we've got pretty much all of our modules across the board, and in the next sort of 2 months we're going to be pushing most of our tech from alpha, beta to actual production. So come the end of the year, we're going to hope to have an end-to-end product that's going to allow us, come 2018, to actually go out there and actually work with these companies that we're speaking with in order to actually onboard them onto the platform.
Mm-hmm. So you've said you've rewritten Bitcoin Core in C#.
Correct.
What will you do with that? Is that going to be a base for you to develop a framework, or how?
Exactly, yeah. So our whole platform, everything we're building is built on top of our full node. So as you know, we're going to be bringing some of the greatest innovations in the blockchain space, such as sidechain smart contracts, to the Stratis platform. They're all actually going to be built on top of our C node, on top of our full node.
Okay. And what about like the later things that are coming? I think something like your Breeze wallet. That's
Correct,
been a
yeah.
lot of talk about that. What will that do once that? I think that's an alpha or beta now.
It is, yeah. It's an alpha. Yeah. So what it's actually going to allow people to do is run special master nodes that. Which are somewhat different to like your Dash master nodes. In they're actually allowing you to tumble Bitcoins instead of the native currency. So node operators will actually earn fees in Bitcoin, and I'm not aware of any other master nodes that actually allow somebody to earn Bitcoin.
Yeah, so let's go over the master nodes, because I do, we watch the markets every day, and when that announcement came up, that was a big part of the reason we jumped a lot. So what are these master nodes? A couple weeks ago, I was here for the Dash conference, and Dash, I think, was the first one to come up with the concept of master nodes, right? So what does a Stratis master node do? Like Dash has master nodes do a bunch of things, right? And they earn fees in Dash, right?
Yeah, correct.
What do you have planned for a Stratis master nodes? I know one of them is tumbling Bitcoins.
Yeah.
Is there any other type of thing that you have in the pipeline for that? Or?
Yeah, most definitely. So a master node is just a node that provides special functionality. So we're going to be breaking up our master nodes, and we will have master nodes for Tumblebit, master nodes for sidechains, potentially master nodes for smart contracts. So various different roles across the Stratis platform, master nodes will actually be providing those services. Dependent on which master nodes they are, is dependent on how much you'll actually earn from running one of those master nodes.
So is it analogous to a master node being like a server that processes like a traditional software? We have different servers that process different functionality.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So basically, you plan to have different types of master nodes in Stratis to provide different services that the platform is going to offer.
Because what we really want is we don't want to sort of lock anyone out. So this limit of 250,000 Strat is obviously a huge amount of money. And the reason for that isn't, that's not something that we chose or we put in place. The technology actually dictates that, because if you have a large number of Tumblebit servers, the privacy is actually reduced. So the only way that we could actually limit the amount of servers there was to put this 250 Strats limitation in place.
So to explain to our audience, like, because many people are not familiar with Tumblebit, can you quickly explain how Tumblebit mixes Bitcoins? How does that actually work?
I think that may be on the scope of this interview. But, Tumblebit basically uses off-chain transactions to remove the link between coins. So if Alice sends to Bob, the server can not only not de-anonymize those transactions, but they also can't steal the any of the funds, so it's completely trustless.
Is it coin mixing? Is it trustless coin mixing?
It is trustless, completely trustless.
Okay, so I did read a little bit about the white paper. What I understood was that everybody puts their Bitcoins into this Tumblebit, right? Let's just call this pot. And it's something to do with like cryptographic puzzles. Like if I want to send you a Bitcoin, I put it into the Tumblebit, and then I give you like a code or a puzzle.
Exactly.
And then you can use that code to go pull the one Bitcoin, but you don't know which Bitcoin it is because it's in a giant pool of Bitcoins.
Exactly that, yeah, spot on. Yeah, so it uses RSA puzzles, RSA encryption to actually, so you exchange RSA puzzles between yourself, and that's how you create that unlinkability off-chain transactions. But Tumblebit's actually got other use cases, because you can imagine those off-chain transactions can scale endlessly, so you can have really high throughput on your transactions by actually using Tumblebit. So it's something that we're not only looking at as a privacy solution, but also as scalability.
Yeah. Okay, so one of you said you wanted to limit the number of these masternodes for Tumblebit because is it because like to have anonymity you need a big pot of Bitcoin?
Exactly.
Okay, because if it's only 2 Bitcoins in that pot, then it's really not hard to figure out where that came from.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Cool. So what about going into the future? Like, what do you think? You said the Breeze wallet is in alpha. So when can I actually run a masternode? Like many of our ICO participants have enough strats to run a masternode. So when can we look forward to start earning Bitcoins or running our own masternode?
Yeah, so we don't actually have a date for the release of the masternodes, but it is currently in internal testing, and we do have end-to-end testing going on at the moment. So we hope within the next week it will sort of move out to our closed group of community testers and then on to an actual public release.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So that's going to be a big milestone when you hit it. Is it going to be like, I know you said you didn't announce the date, but do you think it's like the first half of 2018 or the?
It will be before the end of the year.
Before the end of the year.
Most
okay.
Yeah,
okay. Before.
Yeah, we're talking in weeks, not months.
Oh, okay. So it's actually very close. It's not something that's still 6 months out.
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay, cool. That will be something we're all going to be looking forward to earning some fees for masternodes.
It's funny actually because Breeze and masternodes were not actually in our original plans, but as a cutting edge software development company, we have to look at the market and sometimes shift focus to where the market's actually going, and privacy's tech at the time was huge, and that was one of the reasons.
Yeah, and when you first announced that you were working on Tumblebit, I was a bit confused because I don't see Stratis as a privacy. You're not Zcash, you're not Monero, you're not all about Shadow Cash, and all these dozens who their project is all about privacy. Why did you decide to go into this privacy?
I mean, one of the differences between Stratis and our competition is that instead of focusing on a specific use case, we're focusing on developing the platform so that we can build use cases that were not even conceptualized by us. So what we want to do is we want to bring the latest and greatest technology from right across the space to the Stratis platform, and providing privacy solutions is all part of that now. Us as a business will never provide Tumblebit to anonymous individuals, but we're going to be providing business-to-business services. So companies that want to use a blockchain but they want to keep some of their data hidden, that's where Tumblebit comes in. And obviously we will have know your customer information and meet money laundering regulations with those businesses. So it's really the business-to-business element that we're interested in as a business, but obviously the exposure that's been brought by Breeze and the privacy has been huge for Stratis. Really has.
Okay, so is there, what other features do you have? So that's masternodes, I guess that will be the first big milestone by the end of the year.
Correct.
And then the Breeze wallet is going to be with that, is that correct?
Yeah, okay. So by the end of the year we should have production ready full node, we should have Breeze running on mainnet, masternodes, and also sidechains. And then lastly, our ICO platform, which hasn't been mentioned too much. We've sort of kept information about it back, but we're going to be releasing more information about
ICO,
that
so you're going to provide a platform that people can issue tokens on, is that what you mean?
So the end goal is an end-to-end ICO platform. So you have your ICO platform where you actually do your crowdfund, and then in that platform you can actually deploy your token at the end of it. Now, in the initial version, we're not actually going to have that token generation because our sidechains are not ready. So what we've done is we've actually made it blockchain agnostic. So when you've completed your ICO, you can actually export the data and then deploy, say, an ER20 token. Okay. So it's completely flexible.
Okay. So that's another thing is you're going to produce. I'm just trying to imagine how that would look like. Is it going to be something like Waves or something like where you can issue tokens, or something like BitShares, or?
So we're going to have a combination. We will have sidechains which will allow somebody to run their own bespoke blockchain, but then we'll also have tokens, which is colored coins, similar to Waves and NXT.
Okay. So that's also by the end of the year, or by?
We haven't given a date for that. We haven't given a date for that. It's looking like it's probably going to be early Q1.
Okay.
But it could come a lot sooner because we fully support colored coins at this time. It's just sort of bringing a few things together.
Okay. And basically, I did take a look at your roadmap before I came in. And are you also doing something about identity? That's so you're also now trying to go after like Civic. Is that?
I wouldn't say we're trying to go after Civic, but we're building out several use cases on our platform so we can open source the code so developers have sort of mature example code bases to start with. And this identity solution was our first sort of POC that we developed. So there's an Android and iOS app for that, and we've seen pretty good traction building around that application already. But it's more, rather than actual being a business service, it's more about creating these use cases and these example codes for developers to pick up.
Okay, all right. So what are the other main points that you would like to tell our audience for 2018 then? Like what's coming up in the next year or so?
So the end of the year is really, we're in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, we're in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, we need to just push our technology over the edge, just so that we're production ready, so that come Q1 2018, we can actually go out to businesses, reach back out to companies we've already been in contact with and say, right, we're ready, let's start onboarding you guys. And that's sort of where we are. And I mean, you have this problem with crypto in, do you invest significant funds into marketing when you don't actually have a product? Because I mean, we're in a very brilliant position in that we have a lot of companies actually contacting us. Some huge organizations have literally just come onto the website, filled out the form and said, we want to speak with you guys. But when you don't actually have a product, you can speak about proof of concepts and designs and architecture, but actual on the ground work can't be done. We had to sort of get to the end of Q4 where we have our production ready platform. Come Q1, we can actually go out there and start selling it to
Well, you got to start selling, right? You got to start. You got to start actually bringing in some money.
Because like the point you raised offline with a blockchain startup, you obviously have the ICO and you raise funds, but what happens 5 or 10 years down the road when those ICO funds dry up?
When the market crashes.
Exactly. So for us, it's about building a sustainable business behind this project, and we've said from day one that we don't see ourselves as a typical altcoin. We see ourselves as a blockchain business, a consultancy business. So for us, it's all about building a sustainable business behind the Stratis platform. So when those funds do dry up, we have revenue coming in, so it's not even an issue. Okay,
all right, and you had mentioned last year when we talked about something about like Stratis consulting.
Correct.
Is that part of the strategy is that going to be like a for-profit entity? Because I know Factum very well. They have a non-profit side where they focus on the developing of the platform. That's a foundation, but then they also have the incorporated side that focuses on trying to basically get revenue and provide solutions to customers. Right? Is that something that's still in the plan?
Yeah, so Stratis Consultancy is core to what we're actually trying to do. One of our main competitive advantages over our competition is that we have this consultancy business, so you can come to the creators of the platform to consult with us. We can provide you managed support agreements, sometimes SLA around the actual tech that we're providing you, and there's not many blockchains actually providing that. And I mean, I come from an enterprise background and I understand the needs of enterprise organizations, and they will not work with a company unless those bare minimum things are in place. So that's sort of why we position ourselves to serve the enterprise, but we need to set up from day one to service those customers. And that's why a lot of the organization guys that we're bringing in now are like top level enterprise guys that have worked at Microsoft and huge banking organizations, because we want to bring that same enterprise feel to our offering. And I'll be the first person to admit that at the beginning of the year, we probably wasn't ready to service an enterprise customer. We had to go through huge growth as an organization, but we're very confident that we're there now. So come the beginning of 2018, we're actually going to be ready to go out there to market.
Okay. So what is the size of the Stratis team now? How many people have you hired? Like what does the organization look like now? Because I know back then when I interviewed you, you weren't even working on Stratis full time at the time. You were still you still had a real job somewhere else, right?
I did, yes.
So now obviously you are working on it full time, but how many other people are now working on Stratis full time?
We have over 20 full-time employees, and then we've got quite a few contributors that work on our code base, just developing, but we're very much decentralized. I mean, we have 12 guys in the London head office, but the rest of the team are spread in all 4 corners of the globe.
So your core guys are here in London, so in our
Pretty
very
much,
beautiful
yeah.
office right here.
Pretty much.
At a WeWork, right?
Correct, yeah, it's the largest WeWork in the world.
In the world. Okay, yeah, it's very nice, you guys. You know. So right now there's the core team here, and then
Correct.
you also have, I guess, developers and other staff who video conference in or whatever
Yeah.
to work. Okay, okay, cool. Well, all right, guys. Well, that's all the questions I've had.
Brilliant.
So, guys, I'd like to. I like to.
Make sure you get the beer tap.
Yeah. I'd like to thank Chris True for meeting with me, and like I said, this has been we're all about life-changing finance. That's the motto of our channel, and Stratis has been a life-changing investment for everyone. That's been for myself, I'm sure for you, and everyone that's been involved in the projects. I mean, we've had we've all had this was a more than a grand slam, more than a big than probably the biggest winner. I think I was calculating you guys had done at one point better than Ethereum.
At one point, yeah.
for your ICO investors, right? So so once again, I'd like to thank Chris True for taking the time to talk to us, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.